Namaskar, my dear friends. This is 10th video on the divine discourses of Bhagwan Sri Sathya Sai Baba for the sadhakas pursuing the sadhana of self-realization and liberation. Bhakti Sakha Bhagwan. Many call themselves devotees, but this claim means nothing by itself. It is like addressing a letter to someone. Unless it is acknowledged by the recipient, you cannot be sure whether the letter reached the addressee and how he reacted to it. Likewise, whether one is a devotee or not should be declared by the Lord Himself. This is what Krishna declared regarding Arjuna. He told Arjuna, "You are my devotee and you are my friend." Arjuna did not declare to Krishna, "I am your devotee." Krishna was not content to declare, "Arjuna, you are my devotee." Why did he go on to say, "You are my friend"? Would it not have been sufficient if Krishna had declared, "You are my friend"? Why should he say, "You are my devotee"? In this declaration, there is a profound spiritual significance. This will be clear only when we practice the spiritual life. If merely the Lord were to say to Arjuna, "You are my friend," his ego will get inflated and he will take undue liberties with Krishna. If he were to say, "My dear, you are my devotee," he will be extremely submissive. A kind of fear will be instilled in him. Fear would not be instilled, nor should he be encouraged to take excessive liberties. Hence the terms devotee and friend were used by Krishna. "You are my friend. You may be free with me up to a point. You are my devotee. So observe certain restraints. Exercise control yourself in devotion." Rama Krishna Paramhansa, the Master. In dealing with devotees, the Lord has to maintain a balance. Here is an example from the life of Ramakrishna Paramhansa. Whether in olden times or nowadays, there have always been some persons who indulge in calumny against good men and derided the good actions done by them. Ramakrishna's disciples had to go by boat across the Ganges to get whatever was required for his ashram. Ramakrishna used to assign different tasks each day for the young disciples in the ashram. One of them was a gentle youth known as Brahmananda. Vivekananda was an aggressive and short-tempered youth. One day, Brahmananda went by boat to bring provisions for the ashram. As soon as they saw an ochre-robed person in the boat, the other passengers got very indignant. They started abusing Ramakrishna Paramhansa in various ways. They remarked, "He is a pseudo sannyasi. He is spoiling all young men," and so on. Brahmananda silently shed tears, remembering the teachings of the Master. During the trip, he was apprehensive about what might happen. On the return trip, the earlier story was repeated. He listened silently to the abuse leveled against Ramakrishna and did not venture to quarrel with them. After his return, Ramakrishna asked him to narrate what all had happened. After listening to Brahmananda's pathetic story, Swami Ramakrishna burst out, "How could you remain silent while your guru was being reviled? You have committed a sin. You are not fit to remain in the ashram." Narendra Vivekananda, who was standing nearby, listened to the angry words of the master. Brahmananda fell at the feet of the master and pleaded for forgiveness. Vivekananda's reaction on the criticism of his guru. The next day it was Vivekananda's turn to go by boat to buy provisions. As soon as they saw an ochre-robed youth in the boat, the other passengers started abusing Ramakrishna Paramahansa. One rich man accused Ramakrishna of spoiling young men by his teachings. Narendra remembered what the Guru had said the previous day, rose from his seat and gave a slap on the cheek of the reviler. Narendra was a strong, powerful person. He told the traducer, "Will you keep your mouth shut? You may have your likes and dislikes, and we have ours. What right have you to condemn us? If you do not keep silent, I shall hurl you into the Ganga." Everyone in the boat got alarmed that the irate youth might actually carry out the threat. All of them became silent. Vivekananda brought the provisions and returned by boat to the ashram. On the return journey, no one ventured to open his mouth. Ramakrishna asked Narendra to relate what all happened during his boat trip. Narendra narrated what all had happened and said all of them kept their mouths shut after I had slapped one of them for criticizing the Guru. Immediately Swami Ramakrishna observed, "Chichi, how unbecoming of you to dishonor the robe you are wearing by losing your temper, exhibiting hatred and causing hurt to a person. You are unfit to stay in my ashram. What does it matter what anyone says? How does it affect us? Their praises or censure will not touch us." Narendra pleaded, "Swami, I was listening yesterday to what you had said to Brahmananda. Because of that, I behaved in this manner. You took him task for remaining passive. You take me to task for retaliating. I am unable to understand what is the proper thing to do, to teach according to his needs." Ramakrishna explained his divergent reactions by an example. He said, "There are four tires for a car. What should be the pressure in the front tire and rear tires have been laid down. If there is excessive pressure in some tire, it should be reduced. If some tire have low pressure, they have to be inflated. Only then the car will run smoothly." Narendra suffers from excessive pressure. He requires to be deflated. Brahmananda is excessively weak, so he has to be inflated. The teachings of the masters vary according to the condition of the disciples. Likewise, in the Bhagavad Gita or other scriptures, statements might appear which seem to contradict each other. These differences relate to differences in circumstances and requirements of the person concerned. You should not contrast one statement of the Swami with another and ask why There is a contradiction between the different statements. In the Gita itself, in one place, Krishna stresses the need for action, at the another the adherence to dharma, and in other place commends renunciation of all dharma and urges complete surrender to the Lord. These apparent contradictions are not contradictions. The teachings varies according to the state of spiritual development of the person concerned and the situation in which he is placed. The inner significance of the great teachings of the avatars and sages should be properly understood before any criticism is attempted. No room should be given for logic chopping or verbal controversies. You have to observe only two things: adhere to truth, cultivate love, develop the feeling love is my supreme Lord, truth is my sovereign, I do not need anyone else. You have to recognize that these divine attributes, truth and love, exist equally in all beings. Develop the sense of equal mindedness and equal regard for all. This is the true sadhana. Cultivate love for the divine and share that love with all beings. This discourse was given on at Trai Brindavan, July 1988. Those attached to God, aspiring for God, aware of God, adoring God, have certain distinct marks by which they can be identified. Such people have a compassionate heart. If a person turns the rosary on the fingers and is intently engaged in watching the tip of his nose, unmindful of the distress that dances around him. We can at best name him a sloth, that is all. Get up, place the rosary in its bag, and activate yourselves in relieving distress. That is the true spiritual path. Do not waste all your years with stone images, pictures, or idols. Learn to see in every living, vital, active person the embodiment of all energy, all beauty, all beneficence, namely God. God is subtler than ether, filling the smallest crevice with His majesty. Know this and serve His manifestations wherever you meet them. Discourse number 18: Renunciation and Realization. The wise one recognizes his own defects and seeks not the faults in others. He is most degraded among men who are only the faults in others, who sees only the faults in others, oblivious to his own defects and unaware of his true self. The worth of a human being is based on his buddhi, intellect. The more the intellect develops, the better one is as a man. As the intellect declines, the human descends to the level of animal. A bamboo is valued in terms of its thickness and height. The sugar can get its value from its juice. Man's worth has declined today because he does not recognize the importance of the intellect and of conduct based on intellectual discrimination. The form is human, but the thinking is at the animal level. Man has earned the appellation of two-legged animal. Having acquired the human form, man should conduct himself with intelligence. This is achieved through Tyaga, renunciation, and yoga, spiritual discipline. Real renunciation is giving up evil qualities. Tyaga is a vital aspect of human life. Someday or the other, either he will have to give up worldly goods or they will leave him. When he has no spirit of renunciation, the world may compel him to give up things. This cannot be avoided. What is it that is to be renounced? Are the external objects like houses and vehicles what should be given up, or is one to give up kith and kin or one's possessions? No, these things can be renounced easily. With some determination, all these can be given up, but this is not real sacrifice. It can be a bhoga, form of enjoyment, or a roga, a kind of disease. The real renunciation which one has to make is the giving up of the evil qualities of kama, desire, krodha, anger, and lobha, greed. Kamam kartha nasasnam. Desire is the destroyer of action. Krodha jnana nasasnam. Anger is the destroyer of wisdom. Lobham bhakti nasanam. Greed is the destroyer of devotion. Kama, desire, sullies action at their very roots. Desire deprives one of the powers to discriminate between right and wrong. One loses the capacity to judge the consequences of one's actions. Hence, the Upanishads declare first of all offer your obeisance to Karta, personified as a deity. Tasmai Namaha Karmane, salutation to that action. This means that before you do anything, offer your homage to that action. A prayer should be offered to Karta. Whatever I do, let it be helpful to others. Let it not be harmful to anyone. Make my action sacred in this way. But men today embark on actions in the expectation of what they can get from society and not what they can offer it. This is not the right attitude. Each one should ask himself, what is it that society can receive from me? What good can it get from me? Actions should be undertaken with this high minded attitude. Desire makes one incapable of entertaining such a large hearted view, with the result that all our actions get tainted in one way or other. Kama thus turns man away from following a sacred path in his actions. Hence the pronouncement Kamam Karma Nasanam. Desire is the destructive of right action. Angry man cannot succeed in any endeavor. Then comes Krodha, anger. Anger makes a man insane. It causes loss of wealth, undermines one's reputation, alienates one from his fellow men, and leads to the loss of everything. The angry man cannot succeed in any endeavor. He will encounter endless troubles. Doing sinful deeds, he is despised by the world. Anger deprives a man of his wisdom. He loses his worldly knowledge, his sense of discrimination, his powers of judgment, and even the knowledge gained from past experience. Anger is fraught with such dangerous potential. The third vice is lobha, greed. Whatever he may earn, whatever he may achieve, the greedy man is incapable of renouncing anything. Such a one is ready to receive anything from anyone but is not willing to part with anything. Greed breeds the attitude in which one says, what will you give me if I come to your house? What will you bring for me when you come to my house? Greed promotes this kind of insatiable attitude for possessions. You have to give up an evil tendency of this kind. Attachment should be properly restricted. The practice of giving up is known as vairagya. The literal meaning of the word is that which is which is opposed to raga attachment. Raga signifies attachment to the body. Then there is nothing wrong in attachment. Raga includes love for family, kith and kin. This attachment is not wrong. You should love your parents and show regard for your brothers and sisters. You should keep your body fit and healthy. These are legitimate desires. What should be noted, however, is that there should be limits to such attachments. You may have noted that in singing the raga is important, but when the musician indulges in excessive elaboration of the raga, it tends to become raga and inflicts roga, an infliction. The words of the song should not be lost in the elaboration of the raga. The fire in the oven should be just enough for the food to be cooked. The salt to be added should be limited to the quantity of dal to be prepared. Salt in excess will spoil the dal. Likewise, our attachment should be properly restricted. Today we are witnessing attachments growing without limit. Attachment to the body, to relations, to education, or to the acquisition of knowledge is exceeding all limits. Even with regard to desirable objects, it is essential to limit one's desires. Na sreyo niyamam vina. There can be no happiness without restraint of desire. When there is when there is no restraint, excessive desire become an evil. It leads to misery. When we strive to control desire in due course, it develops into vairagya, non-attachment or renunciation. Vairagya means giving up association with objects while recognizing their inherent worth. In a band of 10 bad men, there may be one good man. Among 10 good men, there may be one who is a seeker of God. Among 10 seekers, there may be one filled with the love of God. Among 10 lovers of God, there may be one at least who desires to experience the divine. Among 10 such devotees, there may be one at least who is ready to renounce all attachments, and only such a man qualifies for earning the love of God. That's why it has been declared only through renunciation can immortality, oneness with the divine be attained. Role of consciousness. How is this renunciation to be effected? The world is made up of objects. It is inert in the waking sense. The sense cognize all these objects, but the senses are also inert. The eyes that see, the ears that hear, the tongue that speaks, and the nose that smells, all of them are jada, inert. In fact, the entire body is inert, but all these inert objects are able to function because of the presence of Chaitanya consciousness in the mind, the intellect, the chitta, and the ahankara. Thus we have to realize that the entire phenomenal universe is jada, inert. It is sthulam, gross. This gross universe has to be treated as inert matter. The four subtle elements of consciousness, manas, the mind, buddhi, the intellect, chitta, the will, and ahankara, the ego, are maya. What is maya? Ma, not ya, exist. That which does not exist but appears to exist is Maya. Maya makes the unreal appear as real and real as unreal. The other name for Maya is Agyana, ignorance. Agyana is that which hides the real from you and makes you regard the non existing as existing. It makes the false appear as true. How Maya works: one sees people dying before one's eyes and others afflicted with disease, but he believes he himself will not die. This is the mark of Agyana. When so many are dying, how can anyone regard himself as not subject to death? Maya is the cause of thinking the impermanent as permanent and the permanent as perishable. Even subtle experiences such as dreams are the result of Maya. We see and experience all sorts of things in dreams. All of them have a reality only in the dream state. This disappear in the waking state. We disregard them. What appeared to be true in the dream state becomes unreal in the waking state. What is dreaded in the dream state causes no fear when one is awake. This is the nature of Maya. It's a secret. Both what is experienced in the physical phenomenal world and in the subtle subliminal state of dreams are the result of Maya. Karna, the causal state of deep sleep, comes next. It is only an image, a reflection. It has no consciousness. It has neither norm nor name, neither form nor name. It is not subject to happiness or sorrow. Of what use is such a state? The waking state experiences the jada, inert. What is experienced in the dream state is Maya, and in the Karna, causal or deep sleep state, there is only a reflection. All three are of little account. There is one thing which transcends all these, that is the Mahakarna, that is the Pratattva, Omni Self, the Atma that is in the Pratattva, and that which is in the Jada, the inert matter is one and the same. Vairagya consists in recognizing these oneness. It is not the giving up of things that constitutes Vairagya. Vairagya consists in enjoying without attachment things which were previously enjoyed with attachment. We are like puppets on the screen. We might have learned a lot, acquired many things. We might have enjoyed many things. Where are they now? What has happened to them? Why did we part with them? What benefit did we derive from them? When we inquire into these matters, we will realize that the things we enjoyed, the individual with whom we associated, and experiences we had are like figures of puppets on a screen. They are like clouds that come and go. We must seek to know the basic truth about the human condition. If you take a vessel with water and pour it into the ocean, you cannot recover that water again. If smoke goes up in the sky, it cannot be collected again. An apple that has been eaten and digested cannot be got back. But the stuff of the mind cannot be merged in an ocean or sent up to the sky or consumed as food. The workings of the mind cannot be eliminated by these processes. Mind should be kept under restraint. Why? Then is there a call for mano nigraham, control of the mind? Nigraham, control, really means being indifferent to the vagaries of the mind. It is difficult to control the mind as it is difficult to confine air in one's grasp. Likewise, how can anyone control the mind which is all embracing in the vastness of its range and comprehension? When it is realized that the mind is made up of thoughts and doubts, the elimination of the thoughts is the means of restraining the mind. Thoughts are associated with desires, As long as desires remain, one cannot have vairagya, detachment. It is necessary to limit desires. Take for instance a car. If you press the acceleration, it picks up speed. In pressing the accelerator, however, you have to bear in mind the state of the road, the curves and bends, and the ups and downs. Similarly, the world we live in is replete with ups and downs, with joy and sorrow. Having regard to this fact, the mind must be kept under restraint as far as possible. The car cannot move unless the accelerator is pressed, but this should be done with circumspection. In making the journey, this caution should be observed. Likewise, we need mind, but it has to be used in the proper way. Power of the mind and role of the intellect. Today, men are subjecting themselves to all kinds of difficulties and problems because they are giving a free rein to the mind. This is where the vital role of buddhi, intellect, comes in. The intellect enhances the power of man. It is the greatness of the intellect that distinguishes man. The intellect has the potency to comprehend the entire cosmos. Consider the power of the mind. One goes round the world, sees many cities, looks at mountains and rivers, and meets innumerable persons and has varied experiences. All these infinite varieties of objects, persons, scenes, and experiences are imprinted in the subtle form in the mind. How is it that such a small mind can contain all this vast panorama and countless objects and impressions? Is there room in the mind for containing a high mountain? You have to understand the boundless capacity of the mind. Manomulam idam jagat. The cosmos is based on the mind. The individual, through his body, is part of the cosmos. Think for a moment how pitifully small is this body in relation to this vast universe. Recognition of one's infinitesimal puny size should lead to humility. At the same time, there is infinite potentiality in man. That's why Vedanta declares that the divine is subtler than the subtlest atom and vaster than the vastest object in creation. You may have seen the huge banyan tree in the Theosophical Society at Adyar, Madras, now called Chennai. It is a very huge tree, but its seed is an extremely small one. That small seed has the potential to grow into a vast, extensive tree. Likewise, the human mind is exceedingly small, but it can comprehend this vast universe. The mind appears as an insignificant speck in the universe, but the universe is immanent in this minuscule mind. It would appear as if the universe and the mind were telling each other, I am that and that is me. The secret of infinite capacity of the mind. As long as you have the body consciousness and attachment to the body, you cannot understand the secret of the infinite capacity of the mind. If you have only a superficial view of the world, you cannot understand its vastness in the subtle domain of the mind. There is a big water reservoir. When you look at the water, your reflection is seen in it. You say, that is myself. But when you discriminate, you realize I am not that. Try to distinguish between these two concepts. When you say that is myself, you are only thinking of your body. Suppose you say that is yourself and people come and beat the image in the water with sticks. Will you feel anything? But if that reflection of yours is abused by anybody, you get angry. When it is beaten, you don't feel the pain, but when anybody abuses it, you feel the effect. When it is beaten, you feel it is not yourself. When it is abused, you feel that it is you. Therein lies the secret of Vedanta. On the one hand, you say, I am that, but when that is being beaten, you don't react. On the other hand, when that is abused, you react. When you realize that your inner Atma is the same in everybody, then any pain caused to anybody is your pain. But when you have body consciousness and anybody says anything derogatory about anyone else, you feel it is not directed towards you and it doesn't affect you. This essential truth is the heart of Vedanta. To understand this great secret of secrets, you should participate in such assemblies as this. You must listen, think over what is said, put into practice, and make it yours. Vedanta has emphasized these three things: Sarvana, Manana, and Nididhyasana. Sarvana means hearing. Whatever you hear, you should resolve, revolve in your mind. That is Manana. Then Nidhi Dhyasana is putting into practice. For example, the mother says, I have prepared a number of sweets. After knowing this, which is Gyantam, you see all these sweets on a plate. That is Drashtum. Then when you eat these delicious sweets, that is Parveshtam, then you get happiness and strength. This unity of Jnantam, Drashtam and Parveshtam, knowing, seeing and experiencing is unity in the diversity, which is the real path to Ananda, eternal delight. Vairagya does not mean that you should give up everything and go to a forest. Vairagya really means you should stay where you are, in whatever station of life you are in, and understand the subtle nature of things. While giving up desire based on the external aspect, it means that by using discrimination, you should know what to expect and what to reject. You should strive to recognize the divinity in every object you see and enjoy it. That is real Vairagya. That is the mark of a true human being. Discourse at the Prashanti Mandir, 11 July 1988. A temple where God is adored as a living entity is as the heart to an individual. It is said that you should not sleep in a village where there is no temple, for the people there are sure to be so ungodly that your life is in danger amidst such unbelievers. God is the guardian, the corrector, the admonisher, the savior. So people must get into the habit of calling on him as a living presence. The temple helps soften the hearts. It instills the virtues of compassion and charity. Greed and cruelty will spread in an atmosphere that has no devotion and adoration to God. Make yourself into moving temples. Become aware of the God that resides in you. It is He who protects you, provides for you, prevents you from falling a prey to pernicious propensities. I end this video here. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment and share the video and subscribe the channel. Thanks a lot. Namaskar my dear friend. Next video number 11 will start with discourse number 19. Nature, God, Man. Namaskar.